You realize these bipedal creatures actually sleep for a third of their orbital cycle? Admiral Krathos chittered incredulously, his mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among the Zarkax species. What kind of evolutionary dead end requires that much downtime? Captain Vethrix swiveled her eye stalks toward the holographic display showing their latest conquest, an unremarkable blue-green planet in the spiral arm of an unremarkable galaxy. The kind that will make perfect labor stock, Admiral. Their physical endurance is remarkable despite their inefficiencies. Initial surveys suggest they can work continuously for 16 of their local hours before requiring rest. Continuous physical labor? Without cybernetic enhancement? The Admiral's antennae twitched with interest. Perhaps there's value in these humans after all. What else have we learned? They're adaptable to an unprecedented degree. Their species occupies climate zones ranging from frozen wastelands to scorching deserts. They can digest almost anything organic, and despite their primitive technology, they've demonstrated remarkable problem-solving capabilities. Promising traits for slave stock, Krathos mused. Though their industrial capacity is concerning. We detected electromagnetic emissions consistent with early spaceflight capabilities. Nothing our suppression fields can't handle, Vethrix assured him. One targeted pulse and their electrical infrastructure will be permanently disabled. We estimate total conquest within 3 standard cycles. The Admiral's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Proceed with the invasion. I want processing centers established on every continent within a solar rotation. These humans will make an excellent addition to the Empire's workforce. As you command, Admiral. Neither of them noticed the small red warning light blinking on the sensor console, a curious signal suggesting that someone or something had been listening to their entire conversation. Dr. Thomas Rivera stared at the transcript on his screen, his coffee growing cold beside his keyboard. As lead xenolinguist for the Deep Space Monitoring Initiative, he'd spent the last 15 years searching for proof of intelligent alien life. Now that he had it, he almost wished he hadn't. Computer, run authentication protocols on signal XB779 again, he commanded, his voice steady despite the growing knot in his stomach. Authentication complete. Signal origin confirmed at coordinates 276.5, 42.3, 891.4. Language pattern analysis suggests natural conversation between 2 distinct entities. Probability of hoax or error, less than 0.01%. Thomas took a deep breath and reached for the red phone on his desk, the one that connected directly to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is Dr. Rivera at DSMI. Implementation of Protocol Omega is recommended. We have confirmation of hostile intent from an advanced alien civilization. Yes, I'll hold. As he waited, Thomas pulled up the detailed analysis of the alien transmission. Their arrogance was almost amusing. They genuinely believed humanity would be easy prey. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this possibility for decades. The invasion began exactly as the aliens had planned. Their massive ships appeared in orbit, their suppression field spreading across the planet like a suffocating blanket. All across Earth, electronics went dark. Cars stopped. Phones died. The power grid collapsed. Exactly according to humanity's plan. Deep underground and hardened bunkers across the globe, EMP-shielded systems hummed to life. In hidden mountain bases, electromagnetic immune machinery powered up. And in thousands of seemingly abandoned warehouses, mechanical devices that hadn't seen use since World War II began to spin and whir. The aliens never wondered why humanity had maintained so many obsolete mechanical systems alongside their electronic technology. They never questioned why so many of Earth's military installations appeared to rely on primitive mechanical computers and pneumatic systems. They never considered that humanity's apparent technological regression in certain areas might be deliberate. They were about to learn. Admiral! Vethrix's voice carried an unfamiliar note of panic. The humans, they're still fighting. Our suppression field had no effect on their mechanical weapon systems. Krathos's compound eyes widened in disbelief as he watched the tactical display. Across the planet, human forces were mobilizing with devastating efficiency. Mechanical anti-aircraft guns tracked and fired with deadly accuracy. Diesel-powered tanks rolled out of hidden bunkers. And most terrifying of all, purely mechanical computing systems were coordinating it all without a single electronic component in sight. Impossible, he chittered. Their technology levels showed no signs of this capability. Their military appeared completely dependent on electronic systems. Sir, we're detecting launches from multiple silos. Preliminary analysis suggests projectile weapons with mechanical guidance systems. No electronics detected. We can't jam them. The Admiral's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress as he watched the first wave of human missiles rise from the planet's surface. They moved with prehistoric simplicity, guided by gyroscopes and mechanical computers that were utterly immune to the Zarkax's most advanced electronic warfare. "All ships, evasive action!" he ordered, but it was too late. The missiles, powered by simple chemical rockets, and aimed by technology that would have been familiar to the humans' great-grandparents, struck with devastating accuracy. In his underground command center, General Michael Rodriguez watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Status report," he barked. "Operation Retrograde proceeding as planned, sir," his aide reported. "The mechanical backup systems are performing exactly as designed. All major military installations have switched to analog operations. Civilian infrastructure is protected in hardened shelters as per contingency plans. And our guests? They're learning quickly that humans don't take kindly to uninvited visitors. The mechanical computing systems are proving more than capable of coordinating our defense forces. They expected us to be helpless without electronics. They never considered that we might have maintained and advanced our mechanical technology alongside our digital systems." Rodriguez allowed himself a small smile. "Send in the next wave. Let's show them exactly how primitive we can be." Aboard the Zarkax flagship, chaos reigned. Nearly a third of their fleet had been destroyed by weapons they couldn't jam, couldn't hack, and barely understood. The remaining ships were scattered, trying desperately to avoid the endless waves of mechanically guided missiles that seemed to rise from every corner of the planet. "How are they doing this?" Cathax demanded, his usually immaculate carapace now dusty with shed scales, a sign of extreme stress in his species. "Their targeting systems are prehistoric. They're using springs and gears." "Sir," Vethrix's voice was small, "I've completed analysis of their mechanical computing systems. They're beautiful. While we focused entirely on electronic and quantum computing, they continued to refine and advance mechanical computing in parallel. Their mechanical computers are nearly as sophisticated as our electronic ones. Just different." "Different how?" "They're immune to our entire electronic warfare suite. We can't hack them, can't jam them, can't even detect them properly because they don't emit any electronic signatures. And sir, they're launching something new." The tactical display showed a new type of weapon rising from the Earth's surface. Unlike the previous missiles, these moved erratically, changing course in ways that defied prediction. "What are those?" Cathax demanded. "According to our analysis, mechanical cruise missiles. Powered by simple turbine engines, guided by mechanical computers running what appears to be a purely mechanical random number generator for evasive maneuvers. Sir, we can't stop these. We can't even track them properly." The Admiral watched in horror as the first wave of mechanical cruise missiles approached his fleet. Their movements were chaos theory encoded in gears and springs, unpredictable yet deadly accurate. "All ships, full retreat," he ordered. "Get us out of this system." But it was too late. The missiles struck with devastating precision, their warheads ignoring shields calibrated for energy weapons and instead delivering their payload through simple kinetic force. Ship after ship disappeared from the tactical display. 3 days later, Dr. Rivera sat in a debriefing room with military leaders from around the world, explaining what they'd learned from the brief but decisive battle. "The Zarkax made a critical mistake," he explained. "They assumed that any civilization advanced enough to be a threat would be dependent on electronic technology. They never considered that we might have deliberately maintained and advanced alternative technologies as a backup." "Operation Retrograde proved its worth then," one of the generals commented. "Beyond our wildest expectations," Thomas agreed. "The decision to continue developing mechanical computing alongside electronic systems gave us an advantage they never saw coming. While they were looking for digital signatures and electronic emissions, we were rolling out weapon systems that could have been understood by Charles Babbage." "And the psychological impact?" another officer asked. Thomas smiled. "According to the transmissions we intercepted during their retreat, they're thoroughly convinced that humans are, and I quote, dangerously unpredictable savages who possess technological capabilities that defy conventional development patterns. They seem particularly disturbed by our ability to develop sophisticated mechanical computers without abandoning the technology as primitive once electronic computing became available." The room filled with laughter at that. "So what you're saying," the Joint Chiefs Chairman summarized, "is that we defeated an advanced alien invasion force by being too stubborn to completely abandon old technology?" "Essentially, yes," Thomas confirmed. "They believed their electronic warfare capabilities made them invincible. Instead, They ran headlong into an army equipped with weapons guided by springs, gears, and mechanical computers, technology they considered too primitive to be a threat. And the final casualty count? That's the most remarkable part, Thomas said, pulling up the final battle statistics. Thanks to our prepared shelters and backup systems, civilian casualties were minimal. As for the Zarkax, he paused for effect. They lost over 60% of their invasion fleet to weapons they considered obsolete. The chairman nodded slowly. Ensure this is documented thoroughly. Humanity just learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of relying too heavily on any single type of technology. Already done, sir. Though I doubt we'll have to worry about the Zarkax again. The last transmission we intercepted suggested they're adding Earth to their official registry of planets to avoid at all costs. Apparently, we're now classified as, and again I quote, dangerously insane primitives who cannot be predicted or controlled. Perfect, the chairman said with a smile. That's exactly the kind of reputation that will keep Earth safe. After all, who would want to invade a planet full of savages crazy enough to fight a spacefaring civilization with mechanical computers? The room erupted in laughter again, but there was a note of pride in it. Humanity had faced its first alien invasion, and emerged victorious not through overwhelming force or superior technology, but through diversity of approach and unwillingness to completely abandon old solutions just because new ones had come along. As the meeting concluded, Thomas couldn't help but smile at the irony. The aliens had come looking for slaves and instead found a species that had turned technological regression into a strategic advantage. They had assumed humanity's continued use of mechanical systems alongside electronic ones was a sign of primitive development, never considering it might be a deliberate choice to maintain technological diversity. In the end, humanity's greatest defense had been its refusal to put all its eggs in one technological basket. The aliens had brought superior technology to the battle, but humanity had brought something far more powerful. The wisdom to remember that newer doesn't always mean better, and that true advancement sometimes means keeping the old alongside the new. The Zarkax had learned a costly lesson. Never underestimate a species that keeps mechanical computers around just in case. The Zarkax High Council chamber had never been so silent. 12 of the most powerful beings in their empire sat motionless, their compound eyes fixed on Admiral Kathax as he concluded his report on the Earth invasion debacle. In summary, Kathax chittered, his voice carrying the unmistakable tremor of post-traumatic stress. We lost 63% of our invasion fleet to a species that powers their most advanced weapons with controlled explosions and guides them with spinning metal discs. High Counselor Zixka's antennae twitched in disbelief. You expect us to believe that a pre-quantum civilization defeated our most advanced electronic warfare systems with mechanical computers? Not just mechanical computers, Kathax corrected, pulling up a holographic display. Their entire military infrastructure demonstrated a level of mechanical sophistication that defies our understanding of technological progression. They haven't just maintained primitive technology, they've refined it to an art form. The hologram showed detailed scans of captured human weaponry. The council members leaned forward, their mandibles clicking in collective astonishment as they studied the intricate arrays of gears, springs, and pneumatic systems. Fascinating, murmured council scientist Nthaval. Look at these mechanical randomization systems. They're using chaos theory principles, but implementing them purely through mechanical means. The mathematical complexity is beautiful. Beautiful! Kathax's scales rattled in agitation. Those beautiful systems destroyed 28 of our most advanced warships. The humans aren't just maintaining old technology. They're actively advancing it alongside their electronic systems. Every time we adapted to one of their weapons, they unveiled something even more mechanically sophisticated. Tell us about their response to the suppression field, Zixka commanded. Kathax's compound eyes darkened at the memory. They were prepared. The moment our field disabled their electronic infrastructure, they switched to mechanical backups. Their military bases operated on pneumatic computers. Their communications used mechanical encoding devices. They even had mechanical targeting systems that could track our ships through visual observation alone. But how? Another council member demanded. Why would any species continue developing obsolete technology after discovering electronics? Because they're paranoid, Kathax replied simply. Our intelligence suggests they've been preparing for this exact scenario for decades. They have entire research divisions dedicated to advancing mechanical technology, just in case their electronic systems were ever compromised. The council chamber erupted in chittering discussions. Kathax waited patiently until High Counselor Zixka raised a limb for silence. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Quarantine the system, Krathos said without hesitation. The humans are too unpredictable. They're advancing along multiple technological paths simultaneously, making them impossible to properly categorize or counter. Worse, our defeat has likely confirmed their paranoid tendencies. They'll be even more committed to maintaining technological diversity now. Agreed, Zixka declared. The quarantine motion passes. Now about these mechanical computers. 1 year later. Earth. The United Nations Conference on Technological Diversity was packed to capacity. Representatives from every major nation had gathered to discuss the lessons learned from the Zarkax invasion attempt. Dr. Thomas Rivera approached the podium, adjusting his notes. The past year had been busy, analyzing alien technology, advancing Earth's defensive capabilities, and preparing humanity for its new role as a recognized spacefaring civilization. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. 1 year ago, humanity faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious not through superior technology, but through technological diversity. The Zarkax invasion fleet was defeated because we refused to abandon older technologies simply because newer ones became available. He clicked to the first slide, showing the remains of a Zarkax warship being studied in a secure facility. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours in many areas, particularly in electronic and quantum computing. However, their single-minded focus on advancing along one technological path became their greatest weakness. They had no defense against sophisticated mechanical systems because they couldn't conceive of a civilization maintaining such primitive technology alongside modern electronics. The next slide showed the new Mechanical Computing Research Center in Geneva. Thanks to captured Zarkax databases, we now know that we're unique among known spacefaring races. Most civilizations abandon older technologies entirely when newer ones are developed. We're the only known species to actively maintain and advance multiple technological paths simultaneously. He paused, allowing that to sink in. This discovery has profound implications for humanity's future. The Zarkax invasion attempt proved that technological diversity is not just a safeguard, it's a strategic advantage. While other races focus on single paths of advancement, we're developing hybrid systems that combine the best aspects of multiple technologies. The next slide showed a new prototype weapon system that merged mechanical computing with advanced electronics. This is the XM1 hybrid defense platform. It can switch seamlessly between electronic and mechanical operation, making it virtually impossible to completely disable. We're also developing new mechanical computing systems that match or exceed electronic computers in specific applications, while remaining immune to electronic warfare. A hand raised in the audience. Dr. Rivera, what about the cost? Maintaining multiple technological paths must be incredibly expensive. Thomas smiled. Less expensive than losing a war because all our eggs were in one technological basket. Besides, we're finding unexpected benefits to this approach. Mechanical computing is actually more efficient than electronic systems for certain specialized tasks. We're not just maintaining old technology, we're discovering new applications for it. Another hand, what about the psychological impact on potential alien aggressors? Excellent question. According to our analysis of Zarkax communications, we're now classified as a Class 4 divergent civilization, their term for species that develop along unexpected technological paths. They consider us highly dangerous precisely because we're unpredictable. Our willingness to embrace technological diversity makes us impossible to properly categorize in their threat assessment systems. The room filled with appreciative chuckles. But perhaps most importantly, Thomas continued, this experience has taught us a valuable lesson about the nature of progress. True advancement doesn't always mean abandoning the old for the new. Sometimes it means finding ways to combine different approaches, to maintain diversity not just in our biology and culture, but in our technology as well. He clicked to his final slide, showing Earth's new planetary defense system, a sophisticated network that combined electronic, mechanical, and even biological components into a seamless whole. The Zarkax came to Earth believing we would be easy slaves. They left knowing that humanity's greatest strength isn't our most advanced technology. It's our refusal to be limited to any single type of technology. As we move forward into a new era of human history, let's remember that lesson. Our diversity, technological, cultural, and biological, isn't a weakness to be overcome. It's the very thing that makes us uniquely human and uniquely dangerous to anyone foolish enough to underestimate us. The applause was thunderous. Later that evening, as Thomas watched the sunset from his office window, he couldn't help but smile at the irony. The aliens had come to enslave humanity, believing our technological diversity was a sign of primitive development. Instead, they had given humanity the greatest gift possible: confirmation that our paranoid tendency to prepare for every possible scenario, to maintain and advance multiple technologies simultaneously, was exactly what we needed to survive in a hostile universe. On his desk, a mechanical computer clicked and whirred, its gears spinning in perfect harmony with the electronic displays surrounding it. It was, he reflected, a perfect symbol of humanity's future. Not choosing between old and new, but finding ways to make them work together. The Zarkax had learned a costly lesson about underestimating humanity. But humanity had learned an even more valuable lesson about the true nature of technological progress. As humanity looked toward the stars, we did so not with a single technological path, but with the combined strength of every technology we had ever developed. After all, why choose between the wisdom of the past and the promise of the future when you could have both? The Galactic Conference on Emerging Civilizations was supposed to be a routine affair. Representatives from various spacefaring races would gather, discuss potential threats and opportunities, and update their shared databases on pre-contact species. This year was different. "We must address the human question," High Minister Krathos of the Galactic Confederation declared, his crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "Their defeat of the Zarkax invasion fleet has complicated matters." The assembled delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Zarkax representatives were notably absent, having declined to attend for the first time in 3 centuries. "The humans have been designated as a Class 4 divergent civilization," Ambassador Exitil of the Mercian Empire noted, her fur bristling with concern. "But even that classification may be insufficient. Our latest intelligence suggests they're actually accelerating their multi-path technological development." Holographic displays materialized around the chamber, showing recent observations of Earth. The delegates watched in fascination as humans tested new hybrid technologies that seamlessly merged mechanical, electronic, and even biological components. "Observe," Exitil continued, zooming in on a testing facility. "They're not just maintaining different technological paths. They're finding ways to combine them that our predictive models can't properly analyze. Their mechanical-electronic hybrid systems are particularly concerning." "Concerning?" a voice called from the back of the chamber. "I would say terrifying." The delegates turned to face Admiral Vector of the Hegemony Defense Force, one of the most respected military minds in known space. "Consider the implications," Vector continued, moving to the center of the chamber. "The humans defeated a Zarkax invasion fleet not through superior technology, but through technological unpredictability. Now, with access to captured Zarkax technology, they're advancing even faster, but not in the way we would expect." He gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show Earth's new orbital defense platforms. "Look at these installations. They incorporate mechanical computers for core functions, electronic systems for speed, and biological components for adaptation. If the mechanical systems fail, the electronic ones take over. If those are compromised, the biological systems maintain basic functions. It's redundancy taken to an artistic level." "Surely such complexity makes their systems more vulnerable, not less?" someone suggested. Vector's expression darkened. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that led to the Zarkax defeat. The humans don't see complexity as a weakness. They see technological diversity as a strength to be cultivated, and they're proving dangerously good at it." Meanwhile, on Earth, the Technological Integration Center in Mumbai hummed with activity. Dr. Aisha Patel watched through reinforced glass as her team tested their latest breakthrough, a hybrid computing core that combined mechanical precision, electronic speed, and biological adaptability. "Neural interface online," her assistant reported. "Mechanical systems synchronized, electronic processors ready." Aisha nodded, her eyes fixed on the test chamber. "Begin integration sequence." The device at the center of the chamber, barely larger than a shoebox, began to pulse with soft light. Inside, gears meshed with quantum circuits while engineered bacteria colonies processed data through modified DNA. "Integration stable," the assistant reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "All systems are communicating. Dr. Patel, I think we did it." Aisha allowed herself a small smile. "Run the test sequence." The hybrid computer processed calculations that would have crashed any single technology system, seamlessly switching between mechanical, electronic, and biological computing as needed. When they deliberately introduced errors into one system, the others compensated automatically. "Dr. Rivera needs to see this," Aisha decided, reaching for her communicator. 12 hours later, Thomas Rivera stood in the Joint Chiefs briefing room, presenting the test results. Dr. Patel's team has created something unprecedented, he explained. A computing system that doesn't just combine different technologies, it allows them to enhance each other. The mechanical components provide stability, the electronic ones provide speed, and the biological elements provide adaptability. Military applications? General Rodriguez asked, leaning forward. Immediate and significant, Thomas confirmed. Imagine defense systems that can't be disabled by any single form of attack. Communications networks that automatically repair themselves. And most importantly, command and control systems that can continue operating under almost any conditions. The aliens won't expect this, Rodriguez mused. No, they won't. Our intelligence suggests most spacefaring races consider our approach to technology practically heretical. They can't understand why we refuse to commit to a single technological path. Because we're not idiots, Rodriguez snorted. The Zarkax taught us that depending on any single technology, no matter how advanced, is a recipe for disaster. Exactly. And now we're taking it a step further. We're not just maintaining multiple technologies, we're finding ways to make them work together that no other species has even considered. The general studied the test data thoughtfully. How long until we can begin implementing these hybrid systems? Dr. Patel estimates 6 months for the first practical applications. Within a year, we could begin retrofitting our major defense installations. The real challenge isn't the technology. It's training people to think in terms of technological integration rather than specialization. Make it happen, Rodriguez ordered. And Dr. Rivera? Good work. The aliens thought they could enslave us because we weren't specialized enough. Instead, they're going to discover that our diversity is our greatest weapon. In deep space, aboard a Zarkax scout ship maintaining the quarantine perimeter around Sol system, Captain Vithrix watched the latest intelligence reports with growing unease. They're doing what? She demanded. Combining technologies, Captain, her science officer reported. They're creating hybrid systems that utilize mechanical, electronic, and biological components simultaneously. Our analysts can't even properly model how these systems work. Vithrix's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of severe stress. Send an emergency update to High Command. The humans aren't just dangerous because they maintain multiple technologies. They're dangerous because they're finding ways to combine technologies that should be incompatible. As she watched the data stream in, Vithrix couldn't help but feel a touch of admiration beneath her fear. The humans had taken their greatest perceived weakness, their refusal to specialize, and turned it into their greatest strength. Perhaps, she mused quietly, we were asking the wrong question all along. We wondered why they refused to abandon old technologies for new ones. We should have been asking what they knew that we didn't. Her science officer looked up. Captain? Nothing, she chittered, just thinking that the universe became a much more interesting place when we discovered Earth, and possibly a much more dangerous one. As her ship continued its patrol, Vithrix wondered what other surprises the humans would devise. They had already proven that technological diversity was a viable strategy. What would they prove next? The answer, though she didn't know it yet, was already taking shape in laboratories and research centers across Earth. Humanity wasn't just refusing to choose between different technologies. We were creating entirely new ways of thinking about technology itself. The aliens had believed that humans would be easy slaves because we lacked technological focus. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. A species that had not only embraced technological diversity, but was now finding ways to make different technologies work together in ways no other race had imagined possible. The galaxy would never be the same.